Have you ever really looked at your palm? Not with casual curiosity, but with the feeling that something ancient was written there just for you? Maybe you've noticed something unusual, a faint crescent moon resting near the base of your thumb, or the letter M etched across the heart line and lifeline like a secret carved into your skin. If you have, know this: you are not ordinary. Those markings are not random. They are not tricks of the light or folds of flesh. They are sacred signs, echoes of a deeper truth. The universe does not place symbols like these without meaning. You were marked, not by chance, but by divine design. Marked because your life is meant to hold more light, more depth, more purpose. Not everyone has these signs, but those who do often feel it, even before they understand it. A quiet awareness that they see more, sense more, carry more. From a young age, you may have felt things others didn't. A strong intuition, a connection to something beyond words. You've probably questioned your path, searched for clarity, and sensed that you were born with a mission, even if you couldn't yet name it. But maybe, even with all that inner knowing, you felt stuck, like something invisible was holding you back. You've tried to grow, you've meditated, studied, prayed, explored, yet somehow you still feel like you're standing just outside the door to your full potential. You can sense the light inside you, but it flickers. You can hear the call, but it feels distant. You are not alone in that feeling. And more importantly, that tension isn't failure. It's the signal. It means you're close. It means something inside you is ready to rise. But here's what no one tells you. The breakthrough you're waiting for doesn't come from doing more. It comes from releasing what no longer belongs to your spirit. This is where your journey begins, not with addition, but with subtraction. Not with striving harder, but with letting go of what's weighing you down. The pain, the pressure, the people, the patterns, and even the quiet doubts you've whispered to yourself in the dark. Because the moment you stop carrying what isn't yours, your light grows stronger. The spiritual gifts you've always had become clearer. The energy within you flows freely again, not blocked by what drains you, but fueled by what aligns with your higher calling. And so I say this, directly to you, the one with the crescent or the M, you have every reason to be proud. These signs are not flaws. They are fingerprints of the divine. They are proof that your soul is awake, aware, and chosen for something greater. You are not here to blend in. You are here to light the way. If these words stir something in you, if your heart is quietly saying, "This is me," then declare it below. Leave a comment not with numbers, but with truth. A statement from your spirit. Say, "I was born for more," or "I carry light the world cannot see." Write it not for me, but for yourself. Let your soul speak. And if this message reflects what you've always known deep down, I invite you to be part of something more. Click like, not just for the video, but for the part of you that's ready to rise. Subscribe to the channel to stay connected to messages meant for your journey. And share this message with someone who might carry the same signs, the same weight, the same silent calling. Because this is just the beginning. And before we can truly rise, we must learn to release. So now, ask yourself, what has been dimming my light? What energy am I still allowing into my space that doesn't honor who I truly am? Because sometimes, the first thing that holds us back isn't a situation, it's a relationship. And the people around us, their words, their energy, their unspoken doubts, can quietly shape our vibration more than we realize. Let's begin there. let's talk about what it truly means to let go of those who cannot rise with you. Not everyone who walks into your life brings light. Some come like a soft glow, warming you, guiding you. But others, even without intending harm, cast shadows that slowly gather around your soul. And if you carry the crescent moon or the letter M on your palm, you must understand this. Your light is different. Your energy is higher. And that means, more than most, you must protect it. Those sacred signs on your hand are not decorative. They are declarations. You were born with spiritual sensitivity, a rare vibration that draws both light and darkness toward you. And the more awakened you become, the more you will notice the effect others have on your energy. That's not a weakness. It's spiritual awareness. You may have grown up being the one others turn to for comfort, for wisdom, for healing. And because of your light, many have come close, not all of them with pure intentions. Some have stayed in your orbit not to support you, but to draw from you, to drain what they could not create themselves. Every interaction is more than words. It's an exchange of vibration. Emotions, thoughts, intentions. They all carry energy, and that energy either nourishes your light or slowly erodes it. If you've ever walked away from someone feeling smaller, heavier, or more confused than before, you've felt this. It's not in your imagination. It's your spirit sounding the alarm. So pause for a moment and ask, who in your life makes you feel like you're too much or not enough? Who dims your ideas, dismisses your vision, or pulls you into a cycle of guilt, doubt, or emotional exhaustion? Who shows up only when they need something, then vanishes when you're the one in need? If names arise, don't turn away. Your awareness is not judgment, it's discernment. And that is one of your greatest spiritual tools. The Bible reminds us, bad company corrupts good character. 1 Corinthians 15:33. This isn't just moral instruction, it's spiritual truth. The people around you shape your atmosphere. Even your body reacts. Stress rises, focus scatters, fatigue creeps in. But your soul feels it even deeper, like a song slowly slipping out of tune. If you carry the crescent or the M, you are here to channel divine frequency. But frequency cannot flow in polluted waters. And it's not cruelty to choose clarity. You don't have to sever ties with anger. You simply need to set boundaries with wisdom. Not every call needs to be answered. Not every conversation needs to be prolonged. Not every story needs your energy to survive. Start by observing. How do you feel after spending time with this person? Do you leave inspired or depleted, empowered or entangled? Your spirit knows. Trust that knowing. Letting go of unhealthy ties is not losing love. It's making space for love that lifts you. When you release what no longer aligns, you invite the people who will honor your calling, not compete with it. You're not pushing people away. You're stepping fully into who you are. And if you fear the loneliness that might follow, remember this. Solitude with God is not isolation. It's refinement. The universe always fills the space you clear with something higher, deeper, truer. So let today be the day you choose light over loyalty to what hurts. You are not required to carry relationships that confuse your calling. You have permission to protect your peace, not out of pride, but out of purpose. Because your hands bear the signs of the chosen, and chosen ones are not meant to stay entangled in what dims their divine assignment. Now, take a breath, close your eyes, think of the faces you've been holding on to out of habit, guilt, or history, and release them with grace. Because the next thing we must confront is not just who surrounds us, but what surrounds us. Look around your space. The objects, the possessions, the things you claim to own, do they truly serve you? Or are they silently holding your energy in place? Let's walk forward. A crescent moon. The letter M. These marks on your hand are not there by accident. They are ancient reminders, silent symbols of your soul's assignment. If you carry them, you carry a deeper light. And that light was never meant to be chained down by the things of this world. Yet how easily we forget. How easily the soul becomes entangled, not by evil, not by darkness, but by comfort, by attachment, by the quiet idea that having more will somehow make us feel secure, successful, significant. But what if I told you, the very things you hold on to are the same things holding you back? Material things are not wrong. They can be beautiful blessings, homes that shelter us, tools that support us, comforts that ease the journey. But there's a sacred line, almost invisible, that once crossed, turns possession into prison. The issue isn't what you own. It's how deeply you believe you can't live without it. A wise soul once said, Tai san ko de la puk la, huak jiang shich. A blessing, or a chain. A pair of fine shoes can help you walk miles, but if you're too afraid to dirty them, you'll stay frozen in place. What once gave you freedom becomes the very thing that traps you. So let me ask you, if everything you owned was taken from you today, your car, your house, your savings, your phone, would you still know your worth? Would you still feel connected to your calling, your purpose, your power? If that question stirs discomfort, you're not alone. Most of us have, at some point, tied our identity to our income, our possessions, our outer image. But what happens when those things fade? Does your light go with them? Or does something deeper remain? Jesus once said, "A man's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." Luke 12:15. These are not just words from an ancient book. They are a compass for your spirit. God is not against wealth. He is against anything that makes you forget where your true value comes from. So again, I ask, what are you clinging to? Not because it brings you joy, but because you're afraid to lose it. Is it a title, a lifestyle, a bank account, a reputation? What would it mean to release your grip, just slightly, and see who you are without it? To understand the cost of attachment, look no further than Bernie Madoff, a man who reached the top by chasing wealth at all costs. He built a kingdom of numbers, investments, prestige, illusions of control. But when the lies crumbled, so did everything else. Money gone, family fractured, dignity erased. He died alone in a prison cell, not because he lacked intelligence, but because he forgot the one thing that truly mattered. The soul cannot be bought, and it cannot survive in a cage of greed. You may not walk the same path, but in smaller, quieter ways, we all risk doing the same, working endlessly to maintain an image, clinging to things we no longer need, filling our homes with more than our hearts can carry. Let me ask you something. How many things in your home do you keep just because you fear letting go? How much energy do you spend protecting what you once thought you needed? And how would your spirit feel if even one of those weights was released? Here's an invitation. Pick something, a book, a piece of clothing, an object you once cherished. Hold it. Feel the story it carries. And then, with love and freedom, let it go. Give it away not because you no longer need it, but because you no longer need to be defined by it. When you release with intention, you awaken something powerful inside, a memory, a truth, that you were never meant to live in fear of loss, that what matters most cannot be stored in boxes or measured in digits. It lives in your spirit. It flows through your words, your kindness, your courage. That is your wealth. That is your vibration. And for those who bear the mark of the crescent or the M, this truth is even more urgent. Your light was not placed in you so it could be hidden behind layers of attachment. You were chosen to walk freely, to rise lightly, to carry the message, not the weight of the world. So open your hands, look again at your palm. Those signs you carry are not here to bind you to material things. They are reminders to rise above them. And yet, even as you let go of the objects around you, there remains one more layer. One that doesn't live in your closet or your garage, but in your mind. It speaks in whispers. It hides behind stories. And it tells you that life is happening to you, not for you. It's called the victim mindset. And if we're not careful, it becomes the strongest chain of all. Let's walk forward. There's more to release and more light to reclaim. You may have asked this question many times. Why do bad things always happen to me? It's a question that's been whispered by countless souls in the quiet of the night. Maybe you've asked it yourself. Maybe you've felt that heavy sense of being stuck, like life is unfair, like everyone else gets a break, and you're always left behind. It sounds like a simple complaint, but in truth, it reveals something much deeper. The mindset of a victim, a way of thinking that convinces you that life is happening to you, not through you. And unless you recognize it, it becomes a silent chain, keeping you bound to the pain of your past, unable to move toward your future. The victim mentality is more common than we think. It doesn't always look like tears or dramatic outbursts. Sometimes it sounds like a quiet voice inside saying, "There's nothing I can do," or "People always hurt me," or "I'll never catch a break." Over time, this voice becomes the narrator of your life, one that rewrites every experience as proof that the world is against you. But here's the truth. When you live as a victim, you surrender your spiritual power. You stop seeing yourself as someone who can grow, change, or choose differently. You become trapped in a loop, not because life refuses to change, but because you've stopped believing that you can. Let me ask you something. Have you ever blamed your circumstances, your upbringing, or your pain for the place you're in right now? Have you caught yourself repeating the story of your suffering instead of rewriting it? If you have, you're not alone. And you're not broken. But it's time to awaken to the truth. You are not what happened to you. You are what you choose to become from it. Jesus once said, "Whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have, will be taken from them." Matthew 13:12. At first glance, this sounds unfair. But look deeper. It's not about money or status. It's about mindset. When you believe in growth, you attract growth. When you live in fear of loss, you attract more lack. In other words, what you expect, you invite. What you focus on, you amplify. If you carry the vibration of defeat, life will mirror that back. But if you shift, even slightly, into the energy of learning, healing, and possibility, the world will begin to respond. No one embodies this better than Oprah Winfrey. She was born into poverty, endured years of abuse, faced rejection, shame, and emotional wounds most people could never imagine. But instead of staying in the identity of the wounded, she chose to rise. She didn't ask, "Why me?" She asked, "What is this teaching me?" That one question changed everything. She turned pain into purpose. She transformed trauma into wisdom. And today, she stands not as a victim, but as a guide, proof that your story can be rewritten at any moment. So what if you started asking a different question? Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" Try, "What can I learn from this?" Instead of, "I can't handle this," try, "This is shaping something stronger in me." These aren't just positive phrases. They're spiritual keys. They unlock doors to growth, peace, and resilience. Think of your past as a scar. You can stare at it and remember only the pain. Or you can look at it as a place where the light got in. A mark that says, "I survived, and I'm still here." Let's take this further. Here are some simple but powerful steps you can take to shift out of the victim mindset. First, write down 3 of the most painful moments you've lived through, and next to each one, write, "What did this teach me?" Don't rush. Let your spirit speak. The answers may surprise you. Second, become aware of your self-talk. Catch yourself when you say things like, "I never get what I want," or "I'm just unlucky." Pause and reframe it. Try, "This is hard, but I'm growing," or "I'm learning to choose differently now." Third, ask yourself daily, "Am I playing the victim, or am I stepping into my power today?" You don't have to deny your pain to move forward. You just have to stop letting it be the whole story. You can honor your wounds without becoming them. You can grieve what was and still create what will be. Because here's the most important truth of all. You are not powerless. You are not helpless. You are not stuck. You are a creator. And every choice you make, every thought you shift, every step you take toward healing, reshapes your reality. And now, having come this far, it's time to go even deeper. There's one more layer of bondage many never notice, one that slips through our awareness because it sounds so normal, so familiar. It's the way we speak to ourselves. If victim mentality keeps us looking outward to blame, then negative self-talk keeps us turned inward, blaming the very soul that's trying to heal. Let's keep going, because the way you speak to yourself and about yourself might be the most powerful force shaping your life. If someone talked to you the way you talk to yourself, would they be your friend or your enemy? Pause with that for a moment, because no matter who surrounds you, no matter what the world says, there's one voice you hear more than any other, your own. It follows you into silence. It speaks when no one else is around. It narrates your story every single day. And the truth is, what that voice says might be the very thing shaping your reality, for better or for worse. Many of the chosen ones, especially those marked with the crescent or the letter M, are deeply sensitive souls. You don't just pick up energy from the world around you, you absorb it. And what's even more powerful than external energy is internal dialogue. What you say to yourself becomes the energy you carry, and the energy you carry becomes the life you live. The tongue has the power of life and death. Proverbs 18:21. This scripture is not a metaphor, it's a law, a spiritual law that governs your vibration. Words are not just sounds, they're frequencies. Each time you tell yourself, "I'm not enough," you're planting a seed in the soil of your spirit. And like all seeds, it grows into habits, into choices, into outcomes. Let me ask you, what have you been planting? Have you told yourself things like, "I'm always messing things up," "I'll never be good enough," or "I don't deserve love, healing, or success"? These phrases may seem harmless in the moment, but repeated over time, they create an invisible prison, a cycle of self-sabotage that traps you, not because of the world, but because of the words within. The good news is, you can break this cycle. Look at the story of Jim Carrey. Before he was a household name, before the red carpets and blockbuster films, he lived in a van. He had no money, no fame, just a vision and a belief. One day, he wrote himself a check for $10 million, labeled it "for acting services rendered," and kept it in his wallet, not as a fantasy, but as a spiritual declaration, a seed of faith. Years later, he received exactly that amount for a major film. Was it luck? Or was it the fruit of a belief that had been spoken over and over into his own future? You see, it's not about magic. It's about alignment. Jim didn't just wish. He spoke life into himself. He aligned his energy with his calling, and then he moved toward it. One step, one thought, one audition at a time. So what about you? What story have you been repeating in your mind, and is it one that builds you or breaks you? Let's shift it together. If you often think, "I'm not good enough," replace it with, "I am growing stronger every day." If you've told yourself, "I always mess things up," try, "I am learning, and every mistake teaches me." If you've said, "I'm not worthy," begin saying, "I am a child of God, and I am valuable beyond measure." These aren't just nice words. They are spiritual blueprints. Each time you speak them, you rewire the pathways of your mind. You break the curse of criticism and begin blessing your own life. Here's something you can do today. Write down 3 negative things you often say to yourself, especially when you're tired, disappointed, or afraid. Now, next to each one, write a new phrase, a statement of life, something that reflects your truth, not your trauma. For example, old, "I'll never change." New, "I've already come so far and I'm still moving forward." Old, "I'm not as good as others." New, "I honor my own path and I shine in my own way." Old, "I'm broken." New, "I've been wounded, but I am healing and rising." Then, every morning, say them out loud. Stand in front of a mirror if you can. Look yourself in the eyes, not with shame, but with courage. You're not lying to yourself. You're telling your spirit what it needs to hear. You're choosing truth over fear. You're choosing light over silence. And remember this, just as you would not speak poison over someone you love, don't speak it over yourself. Your words are tools. They can build you, or they can bury you. Use them to rise. Because what you say about yourself, even in the quiet of your own heart, is what you begin to believe. And what you believe shapes your future. So let's release the curse of negative self-talk. Let's stop planting seeds of doubt and defeat. You are not here to diminish your own light. You are here to let it shine without apology. But even now, as your words begin to shift, there is one more layer we must confront. Something subtle, quiet, constant. It enters your life not through your own thoughts, but through the things you allow in daily, the content you consume, the messages you hear, the voices of the world echoing through your phone, your screen, your timeline. Because even as you speak light to yourself, what you're exposed to each day can either support or sabotage that transformation. Let's move forward. In the next part, we'll uncover the invisible power of technology and how to take back control of your vibration. You've come a long way. You've begun to change the way you speak to yourself. You've rewritten the old scripts of shame and replaced them with words of light. But even as your inner voice begins to heal, there's something else, a quieter, more subtle force, still shaping your energy every single day. And the most dangerous part? You often don't even notice it. Because while you've stopped planting weeds inside your own mind, there are still seeds being thrown in from the outside. Every video you watch, every post you scroll, every headline you click, all of it is planting something. The question is, what? Your mind is a garden. Every image you see, every sound you hear, every word you read, it's a seed. And over time, those seeds bloom into thoughts, emotions, and patterns that either lift your vibration or lower it. So ask yourself, are you planting flowers or letting weeds take over? Most people don't realize that the world of technology isn't neutral. It doesn't just offer content, it offers frequency. Every piece of information you absorb carries a vibration. Uplifting music calms your spirit. Gratitude messages expand your heart. But constant negativity, jealousy, outrage, they don't just entertain, they embed, they condition, they lower your frequency, one scroll at a time, and the system knows it. Social media algorithms are designed to keep you engaged by feeding you what stirs your emotions most, especially fear, anger, envy, and insecurity. That's why you often find yourself watching things you didn't plan to. That's why a 2-minute scroll turns into an hour. And when it ends, what do you feel? Not joy, not peace, but anxiety, restlessness, and fatigue. Have you ever woken up after a night of scrolling, only to feel strangely drained, like you didn't rest at all? That's not just lack of sleep, it's energy theft. Spiritual erosion disguised as staying connected. Here's the truth. The screen doesn't just light up your face. It rewires your mind. It molds your moods. It hijacks your attention. And if you don't take control, it takes control of you. It's like this. You think you're holding the remote, but the remote is holding you. So what can you do? Start by reclaiming your role, not as a passive consumer, but as the guardian of your own energy. You are the gatekeeper of your soul. You decide what enters and what stays. Before you watch something, ask yourself, does this make me feel stronger or smaller? Does this pull me closer to the light or drag me deeper into noise? You don't need to disconnect from the world completely, but you do need to connect to it with discernment. Follow voices that build you. Listen to messages that awaken you. Fill your feed with reminders of who you truly are, not who the world wants you to be. Try this simple practice. Create a sacred hour each day, just for you. No screens, no news, no distractions. Use it to reflect, to pray, to breathe, to simply be. Let it be the time where you return to yourself, uninterrupted, undisturbed, undivided. Because your energy is sacred, and your attention is your soul's currency. Where you place it, your life flows. Think of your mind as your home. You wouldn't let strangers walk in and dump garbage all over your floor. So why let them do it to your consciousness? You deserve a clean, peaceful, nourishing inner world. And that begins with what you allow in. Remember, you are not at the mercy of the information age. You are not a victim of noise. You are a soul with choice. And every click, every view, every word you receive shapes what you carry. So choose carefully, choose lovingly, choose like your life depends on it, because it does. And here's the shift. When you begin to guard your digital gates, something beautiful happens. The fog lifts, the anxiety lessens, your intuition gets louder, the silence becomes sacred again. You begin to hear something deeper, something eternal, the voice of God, the whisper of your purpose, the calling that's been waiting beneath the static. But even now, even with a clear mind and focused attention, there is still one force that can block your elevation more than anything else. It doesn't come from a screen. It doesn't come from your friends. It doesn't come from the past. It lives in your nervous system, in your hesitation, in the quiet voice that says, "What if it all goes wrong?" It's fear, the final chain, the silent thief of destiny. Let's go there, because in the final part of this journey, we will face it head-on and take our power back. Even when you turn down the volume of the world, even when you reclaim your attention from the noise of technology, there's still one voice that remains, not from outside, not from others, but from deep within. It's the whisper that says, "Not yet." The quiet thought that says, "Maybe later." The heavy breath that says, "What if I fail?" This is fear, and it's the final layer you must release. Fear doesn't always arrive like thunder. Sometimes it comes disguised as wisdom. It says things like, "Wait until the timing is perfect. You're not quite ready. Just make sure everything is in place first." But behind these reasonable-sounding thoughts is often the same force: hesitation, born from fear. Let me ask you this: how many opportunities have passed you by, not because you weren't good enough, but because fear convinced you to delay? You may have been standing at the door of transformation, your hand already on the handle, but something inside told you to wait, and you listened. That something isn't laziness. It's not indecision. It's fear, camouflaged as control, perfectionism, or caution. Fear hides behind logic. It sounds like safety, but in truth, it's the fog that keeps you circling the same place again and again, never stepping fully into your light. The Bible says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God." Isaiah 41:10. God never said you wouldn't face storms. He simply promised, you won't face them alone. You don't have to feel ready. You don't have to have all the answers. You just need enough faith to take the first step. Every time you delay a decision that aligns with your calling, you dim the light that was meant to shine through you. Every time you hold back because of fear, you give your power away to an illusion. Fear says, "What if I fall?" Faith says, "What if I fly?" Here's the deeper truth. You're not afraid of failing. You're afraid of discovering how powerful you really are. Because once you realize that the door was never locked, that the key was always in your hand, you can't go back to playing small. So how do we move past this fear? Start with honesty. Step 1. Name it. What exactly are you afraid of? Rejection? Failure? Being misunderstood? Write it down. Step 2. Ask, what's the worst that could happen if I act anyway? You'll often realize the fear isn't as big as it feels. Step 3. Take one small action while you're still afraid. Don't wait until the fear disappears. Move through it. Send the email. Make the phone call. Start the page. Speak the truth. Because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision that fear doesn't get to lead your life. Let me give you an image. Imagine a bird who's always known it had wings, but never dared to leave the cage. It watches the sky. It feels the wind. But something says, not yet. Until one day the bird realizes the door was never locked, and neither are you. Action is the spiritual switch that turns on your higher frequency. Movement shatters the illusion that you are stuck. Each time you act, even in trembling, you open a new timeline, a new energy, a new future. But if you wait for fear to disappear, you'll wait forever. Because fear doesn't dissolve before the step. It dissolves because of the step. And when you take that first step, something sacred happens. The fog lifts, the door opens. You realize that the scariest thing was not failing. It was never trying. Here's the message you must remember. Doors don't open because you're ready. They open because you dare to knock. And now, you've released so much. The weight of toxic people, the chains of material attachment, the scripts of victimhood, the voices of self-judgment, the noise of distraction, and now, the paralysis of fear. This is the moment you were moving toward all along. You've been stripping away every layer that kept you small. And now, at the edge of everything you've released, something new is waiting to emerge. Let's bring it all together. Let's step fully into who you were always meant to be. In the final part of this journey, we'll return to the beginning, not to start over, but to rise higher. To remember what you've let go of and claim the frequency that was always yours. The light is already within you. Now is the time to shine it. You've walked through a sacred journey, not just of learning, but of remembering. Not of adding more to your life, but of laying things down, gently, honestly, intentionally, so your true self could rise. Through each part of this message, you've been invited to release what once felt essential, but was actually keeping you from freedom. You've chosen to walk away from toxic relationships, from possessions that owned you, from the mindset of being a victim, from harmful self-talk, from the invisible drain of digital noise, and finally, from the quiet grip of fear. And now you stand here, at the end of this message, but the beginning of a new level of vibration. Let's be clear, this was not random. The signs on your palm, the crescent moon, the sacred letter M, were not coincidence. They were placed there by the Creator as reminders of who you are and why you're here. You weren't sent to follow the crowd. You were called to awaken something holy within yourself and in the world around you. So if you've made it this far, it's because you were meant to. Let that settle in. Let it reach the parts of you that have doubted, questioned, or felt behind. You're not behind. You're right on time. And this moment, this stillness, is your confirmation. You've released what no longer serves you. And in that release, you've made room for something sacred, your light. The real you is no longer buried under fear, shame, or performance. The real you is emerging, and you should be proud. So take a moment to breathe that in. You didn't just watch or listen. You participated. You moved something. You shifted something. In spirit, you said yes. If this journey resonated with you, if it stirred something you forgot you carried, then let's not keep it in silence. Let the vibration move outward. Like this video, not because of a habit, but because it reflects something true inside you. Share this message with someone who's been quietly waiting for something real to help them remember who they are. Subscribe to this channel if you know this isn't the last time you'll need to be reminded of your calling. And most importantly, leave a comment, not a number, but a declaration, a sentence that speaks light over your own soul. If you need one, you can borrow this. I am rising into who God created me to be, free, chosen, and full of light. Let those words live in the space below. Let them echo in the unseen, so that what you declare today becomes the frequency you carry tomorrow. Before we close, let's anchor all of this in a prayer, not for performance, but for alignment. God, thank you for calling me even when I wasn't listening. Thank you for guiding me to release what was never mine to carry. Thank you for reminding me that freedom isn't found in more, but in letting go. I surrender every weight I laid down today. I trust you to fill the space with peace, wisdom, and light. Help me walk in clarity, speak in truth, and live in love. Let me not return to the old chains, even when they feel familiar. Let me step forward, even when I cannot see the full path. I walk with you now, with less fear, less noise, less weight. And I rise, with more faith, more freedom, more light. In your name I say yes. Amen. And now, dear soul, step forward, not as who you were, but as who you truly are. Not weighed down by what others expect, but lifted by what you know to be real. You've come through the fog. You've remembered your light. And that light is not meant to be hidden anymore. You are not here by accident. You are not late. You are not too broken. You are chosen. You are ready. And you are rising. This is the beginning, not just of a new season, but of a new state of being. And I'll be here, walking with you, through every release, every remembering, every rise. Until next time, take this with you. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. Where your words go, your reality follows. And where your spirit leads, you'll always be home. Now go, light bearer. Go and shine like you were made to.